So, Google. Sounds like they may be getting into the console game. Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, who apparently has a dad that works in every company on this planet, is reporting that they are working on a system that is 1. Some sort of streaming platform, 2. Some sort of hardware, and 3. An attempt to bring developers under the Google umbrella, whether through aggressive recruiting or even major acquisitions. That's the word from 5 people who have either been briefed on Google's plans or heard about them secondhand. Oh, so he has 5 dads that have ties to Google. That's nice. And it seems they've been kind of creeping around. They were apparently talking to development studios at GDC and just recently at E3 about this thing. Yeti, I guess is the code name. And with Google's deep pockets, I find that that idea of them perhaps buying up some studios just to have them cranking full-time on this thing, I find that interesting. Now, before I really get into my thoughts on this, I always say I love when we get more competition. If Google wants to make a console, if Atari wants to make a console, if my neighbor's dog wants to make a console, great. Bring them all on. I'm not saying I'll buy them all, but for those who do want them, awesome. As far as these ideas themselves, the streaming end...
It's like magic, except it's not. It's science.
This is a great example of how newer technology can mean that you don't have to leave older hardware behind.
Almost lag-free or latency-free.
Even more graphic-intensive games I can crunch through without any difficulties.
Crazy just how far cloud gaming has come.
It's seriously just the greatest thing ever made, and I'm totally not being paid to say that. You know how I feel about that sort of stuff. Well, if you follow me, that is. The promise of, being able to play the newest games with the bestest graphics on your grandma's 15-year-old desktop is great in theory. But how many times do we have to hear these sorts of claims? I'm sure we'll get there someday, but internet speeds in general, just they aren't quite there yet, again, in terms of a wide audience. And more importantly, they're not stable. That's the other aspect people forget when we talk about it. It's not enough to just have a great speed. It's got to maintain that high speed. It's got to be stable. It's got to stay kicking into high gear for your whole play session. Most people are going to see dips here and there, and when that happens, it's going to cause lag and input delay and probably make me throw my system out a window. And then what? I'm not saying, again, we won't get there. Everyone always wants to crucify me on this stuff, but we're just not there yet. At least not to the point where you can roll this out on a massive scale and get, millions of players to jump on board. The actual hardware would be more interesting to me. If it's just some cheap box that essentially runs the streaming service, I'd have no interest. I don't think many other people would either, because you got plenty of other services already doing this. But going that other route, a system that could compete with, or is perhaps even more powerful than whatever PlayStations and Xboxes are available at that time, that could potentially be intriguing. But there's tons of problems there as well. Even if you have a powerful console, you could have something 10 times as powerful as the other ones. But what are the games? Even if it can run third-party stuff at the highest graphical settings, if you don't have an install base, it's not going to be worth it for developers to bring their games over. If you're not going to make money, why put in the effort? We already see how cutthroat, how unpredictable things can be with the established Big Three, going back and forth for supremacy. It's not easy to just show up to this battle and be like, oh, hey, I'm here, I want to play too. I mean, just the brand appeal that has been established by the main consoles. Like I said, even if you have the best thing on the market, it's hard for people to leave the brands they've trusted for so long to take a chance on you. And that's why, well, part of why we see so many of these alternative console attempts crash right out of the gate. Now, you can do it. It can be done. The stuff that matters never really changes. Having a solid machine at an affordable price with the big third-party stuff and enticing exclusives, the keys to success never really change that much in that regard. But hitting all those points isn't exactly easy. Google certainly has the money to get involved, but they'd probably have to spend a lot up front and lose a lot of it to catch up, to get established. And I don't know how much they want to do that with all the other stuff they got going on. And beyond money, you need people who are competent running this stuff. And let's be real here, Google is hit or miss with many of their practices. They're just killing me on YouTube lately with their idiocy. Decisions like Google Plus, and that in the past, remember Google Plus? They don't always know what they're doing. In fact, I'd say they usually don't know what they're doing, so they got that going against them. The streaming would probably be, the more I think about it, would probably be a better bet for them in the long run. I don't know. If you're someone who's into the streaming stuff right now, let me know what you're doing. Do you do like the PlayStation Now, the GeForce Now? What do you think about those services as is? Do you think Google could improve things with this Yeti thing? I saw in Schreier's article, he mentioned an idea of something like, if it was tied to YouTube, you could be like playing a game and open up an app while playing it that could like pull up a YouTube walkthrough or something. Some of that stuff seems like it could be kind of interesting, but I don't know if it would be that big of a selling point. And yeah, like I said, with the streaming, just not for me. I've got crazy good speeds, but like I said, when I've tried this stuff, once I get a dip or something, I'm just out. It drives me crazy. And the input delays, that stuff fluctuates too. I don't know. It's one of those, it's the future, but the future isn't now sorts of situations, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this potential Google console in the comments. Would you be interested in a new alternative to the big three, and how could they sell you on it? As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.